In this video, we will be discussing the data analysis TEKS for kindergarten. The TEKS are K.8a, K.8b, and K.8c. Students in kindergarten are expected to collect, sort, and organize data into 2 and 3 categories, use that data to create real object and picture graphs, and then draw conclusions from those graphs that they created. You can see here some samples of real object graphs and picture graphs created by kindergarten students. Again, we're looking at 2 and 3 categories here. We know that some of our examples show 4 categories, but we want to limit to 2 to 3 categories for our kindergartners. Notice that some of the graphs are going vertically, some of the graphs go horizontally. We want to make sure that we change that up so the students don't always think that a graph goes across or a graph always goes up. We want to begin our instruction with having the students collect data and then be able to sort and organize that data. When the students collect the data, they could conduct a survey, they could come up and mark on a chart in front of the classroom and create tally marks. This is just a sample of some tally marks done with popsicle sticks. This information could then be put into a graph depending on the questions that you ask. A big part of the TEKS that sometimes seems to get left behind is the students actually sorting and organizing information. So I'm going to show an example of a type of activity that could be done with the class. If we give the students choices of candy, and these are just pictures of different candy bars, and we ask them to choose which candy bar is their favorite and go and tape it onto the board. And the students can just randomly place the candies that they like on the board in no particular order. We're not trying to create a graph. They're just showing you, these are the candies that I like, and taping them randomly on the board. From here, we now provide the opportunity for the students to actually sort and organize some data that's been collected. So from here, we could ask the students, this is a very jumbled data collection. What can we do to organize it where we can tell how many we have of one or the other? And hopefully students will say something like, well, let's put all the Skittles together. Let's put all the same type of candy together. So we can help them with that, and we can put the same types of candies into piles together. We can then ask the students, is it very easy for us to tell which one has the most, which one has the least, how many one has than the other? And hopefully from here they'll say no, and we can lead them or guide them into actually creating the picture graph. So we could then just move the pictures so that the students can see, or they can create a picture graph. If we had the actual candies, then it would be a real object graph for the kids to be able to make. From here, the students will then draw conclusions from the graph. And there's 3 areas that we want to guide our questions with. One area is to ask the students questions that are right there. So I can ask questions like, how many Skittles were chosen by the students? How many students said Reese's were their favorite type of candy? How many students liked Nestle Crunch? And that information can just be counted right there in front with the students. We can also ask questions that have the students compare. Which candy was liked the most? How many more Skittles were chosen than Nestle Crunch? Those questions are having the students look at 2 sets of data or looking over the entire graph and picking or choosing and deciding on their answer. The last set of questions, which are going to reach to those higher levels, are having the students infer. They're having to make inferences as they answer questions or draw conclusions from the graph. This would be something like Miss Weaver is having a party and she wants to have a candy that most of the students like. Which candy should she have at her party? And hopefully the students will guide towards the Skittles. We would ask them, how do you know that? And they can make their own reasoning and justification, hopefully to the fact that more people like Skittles than they like Reese's, so don't put Reese's out at your party. Students should be seeing at least 1 graph every week after the initial instruction of graphing. It will happen during math chat, And that can be either taking them through the full cycle of collecting, sorting, and organizing data, or we can just spend some time just drawing conclusions or just creating a graph for that week. If you look in your Math Chat materials, you'll find a bank of questions that can be used if you get stuck on what could the students work on graphing. If you have any questions about data analysis, just let me know.